Hi, this is Scott Miller from Circles USA. Many years ago, when we conceptualized Circles, we built in the Big View process every month in order to take the lessons learned from supporting families and individuals out of poverty and into economic stability into a larger macro discussion across the community. The assumption was that as people watched a demonstration of 10 or 15 families going through this process and listened to them carefully, and as barriers and service gaps were identified, that there would be an organic fixing of this, that you would find more and more communities able to get more families out of poverty because they had adopted the insights that circle leaders and the allies and the circles process were giving them. And there have been many, many wins across the country over these years, not to mention, of course, supporting families and making sure that people have an easier time of managing the poverty that they're confronted with. And all that's happened. It's been great. There's been thousands of people involved with Circles, and it's been a gratifying experience to be a part of all that. What hasn't happened is system changes in a big way. When we first published this book back in 10 years ago, the point of this was to say we need to make a moral commitment to getting just eliminating poverty. We have got to find ways to not only reduce but eventually eliminate the conditions of poverty. If we can learn how to do this in our country, we could help other countries do the same around the globe. Then as we got more experience, we published this book, which were actual stories and also perspectives from researchers, donors, agency executives about how Circles has begun to influence their thinking about what should be done and how to do it and what was learned, and also just to show that this approach was doable. This year we're publishing the Bootstraps and Benefits, which is a call to action around a systems change. We really need to now boost the Big View process and have it begin to influence systems. So one thing that we're looking at doing next is creating a community of practice around this Big View agenda of a poverty reduction lab. Really beginning to take a look at the fact that probably in most of our communities you could call what we have a poverty management system. You know, we do things in crisis intervention mode, and then there are other people that do things around stabilization. Then there's other people that do things around workforce readiness, and other organizations doing placement and advancement. But those 5 stages are universal to what people have to go through to become economically stable. And in Circles, we have found that we need to broker that process. We need to not only have the social capital to link people to programs so that they will use those programs and benefit, but we also have to have peer-to-peer support, and we have to have the bridging capital of allies to provide perspective, insights, relief, problem solving to make sense of this. But what if the system were designed to reduce poverty and support people through all 5 stages? What if it was coherently put together? You know, you could have a poverty reduction team. It would be comprised of organizations, people from them, that said, okay, we're going to support 15 families completely out of poverty. Really, that's what Circles is. It's a poverty reduction team. And it commits to 10 or 15 or 20 families at a time and does its part. But if you had a poverty reduction system, it may say, well, let's reduce poverty by 10%, which might be 6,000 children and their families, which is a conversation we just recently had in one of our communities. So to get 6,000 families out over maybe a 10-year period, let's look at building up to getting 600 families or 800 families out a year. So that is a different type of thinking. It's saying that there are circle groups and they can be poverty reduction teams, but there might be other types of groups, people already doing work. You know, there are many other ways of supporting families out of poverty, and more are coming online all the time. So what if everybody made a collective commitment to getting to 600 a year? What if these groups systematically put what they're learning, rather than to individual Big View meetings, into one Big View collective think tank, a planning group that would say, let's actually put together plans to solve these barriers system-wide. People are going to notice, poverty reduction teams are going to notice in the community that affordable transportation is tough. Affordable housing is hard to figure out. Being able to get the health care when you need it, being able to get mental health, drug abuse prevention and treatment. All of that can be hard to find. It could be hard to get to the right jobs, or to learn how to get the training, or how to pay for the training. Uh, it's a universal set of problems that we'll see, but what's never happened really is a systematic way of solving these problems. So we're inviting at least up to six places to come into what I'm calling a poverty reduction lab, community of practice nationally. 6 different places that would experiment and try to build out this new alternative system, the infrastructure for a poverty reduction lab that utilizes the insights we've had over the years with circles, but would also utilize the expertise of so many more people who are looking at this issue of poverty and wanting to see it come down and need a place, a mental model to put these things into so they can get going. If this interests you, let us know. You can reach us, of course, at circlesusa.org. I'm introducing this idea to a lot of places. There is a universal interest in something like this happening. So I feel like if we're having these ideas, others are having this idea, and maybe the time has come to start shifting our attention from poverty management to poverty reduction. I hope so. We really need this. And if you're sitting in a company wondering, how do I get more people qualified for work, you're going to want something like a poverty reduction system to be working with you on that. If you're in education trying to get better outcomes, of course, solving poverty is a big deal. And there isn't any sector of our communities that wouldn't benefit from having an intentional poverty reduction system built that could hold itself accountable and coordinate itself to show that we can literally start reducing the poverty rate and bringing more people into great jobs and holding on to these jobs and becoming economically stable for the long haul. Let us know if you're interested. Happy to continue the conversation any way that makes sense. Thanks.